Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Okay, so my iPhone 10 D-brand skins arrived. Arrived on Friday. I thought, I'll keep this for the weekend. Had a quiet moment on the weekend. Applied it straight away. And it lasted about half an hour.
Oh, why's that?
I couldn't deal. I've used D-brand skins, as you know. I've always talked about them when I had my 6S fully wrapped around the edge. But this one, anytime you order a skin, you get like either just a back piece or the full kind of side wrap around. I thought, okay, I'll put just the back piece on. But the feeling of the skin where it meets the stainless steel edge, just wasn't right. I've been spoilt by the feel of the glass meets steel.
So you're going caseless and skinless now?
Well, my next crossroads I've come to is whether to go a case or not. I was seriously tossing up as to whether to do it or not, or whether, will I get one and then put it on and it just bugged me, But in saying that, basically this afternoon I was, had to go get some stuff out the boot, and I pulled out like the mats in the boot, and I was crouching down to do something, and my phone fell out, slipped out my pocket, and would have landed on the paved driveway, but landed on one of the soft mats that I pulled out the boot.
Oh, convenient.
And that was a little bit of a wake-up call. I was just like, oh, man. So, I don't know.
So close.
Yeah, yes.
But you have Apple Care, right? So
yeah, I've actually already contacted them as well in regards to the top steel edge. I have like some very light scuff marks that you can only sort of see when the light catches. And I sort of contacted them to be like, what do you think is the best method, or what am I allowed to use to clean it? And they said, I'll try rubbing alcohol with like cloth swab sort of thing. So I did that, reduced it a little bit, but it's still there. So Jared, who guested, a few episodes ago, he's actually designs jewelry by trade. So he's like, you could use it on the jewelry buffing machine at work. But then I think he's feeling a bit too much pressure in case it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I probably would just leave it, because even like my stainless steel Apple Watch, there were initial like comments that the scuffing is really bad, and it but like I don't know, just sort of adds the character to it. It kind of loses it, you don't worry about it much later. But even with cases, like I had my 4S, 5, 6 all without cases, and then I just guess I got frightened because of the micro abrasions on the 7 Plus. So as the design, in my opinion, has gotten better and better, I've started putting cases on, because I'm like, I want to really keep this design, but I never really because now I've sold that phone, I never got to appreciate the actual look and feel of it. Yeah. And every time I took it out of its case, it was like, it's so good. But yeah.
Yeah, whereas I've gone the opposite, which is so bizarre. Anyway, speaking of stainless steel watches, Series 3, Space Black. My turn for a surprise purchase there, Nick. But you preempted me, really. So what actually happened was that Nick had sent me a photo of Tim Cook in a crowd, and he's like, look at the angling of where the lugs and stuff, and could this be Series 4? I was like, man, that has to be Series 4. Like he wore Series 3 for ages before it came out. This has to be Series 4. I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to hang out till Series 4. But then also that weekend I had my birthday, so I had money there. And I thought, well, that equals the cost of a watch. And yeah, it happened.
Which band have you been using?
The Midnight Blue Nike one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying, like, I first put it on with just the black sport that comes with it, And I was like, yeah, no, I'll try and commit to this, but I really love the Nike one, and it still looks great, and it looks like overall, just quickly looking at your wrists, it's what I'm used to anyway. So before, obviously, I had space grey aluminium, but yeah, so the kind of color matching is similar anyway. But I'm not going to give a full review here. I'll do that in a future episode, but just want to run off some initial thoughts. So man, it looks that much more premium. It doesn't make the previous, any of the aluminium models look cheap or anything, but just having this and now the iPhone 10, it's kind of like this nice little tie-in. Definite big weight difference. I know you've mentioned that before too, so that's quite noticeable, but I like that in the sense that it just feels like something more premium. And one of the big drivers for me with this, aside from just the actual speed, performance and everything for it, because what you were saying, okay, well, a lot of apps run a lot better and kind of like how they're intended, and Siri runs a lot better. I was like, okay, yeah, that's great. I'm into that. When I got the Series 1, I had initially thought, okay, I don't go outdoors that much. The brightness difference won't be an issue. But I've sort of found as time has gone on that I've been outside sometimes. I've been like, oh, it would be good if I did have that brighter screen. So that's been a real good one. And the difference in the actual glass itself, I'd heard from some people that the stainless steel models and that the smudges are less obvious. And I found that to be very true. So my only frustration with the Series 1 was that aluminium was that basically if I went to, kind of like force touch on it or anything, I would then catch in the light, a fingerprint right in the middle of the screen. Whereas this one so far has been far less noticeable. So, and I actually really, really love the red crown after all the discussion and so many people complaining about it. To me, it's kind of become like a status symbol now. So it's very obvious that you have the latest.
Yeah. And do you even notice it when you like actually wearing it though? Like,
no, well, I mean, to me, I think I'd notice it probably even less than. Oh yeah, no, I'm just trying to think. I'm left-handed to right-handed. I hardly notice it, but I'm actually keep. Oh yeah, I keep.
But you have the crown on the outside though, still, right?
Yeah, so the crown is still on the left side. It's just lower.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. It's still on. Yeah, this is. I'm not a right-hander. This is confusing me. But I keep wanting to look at it. I keep wanting to be like, yeah, this is the red crown, bitch. Like.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's cool. Unfortunately, so the whole thing with cellular is cool, but that wasn't the selling point for me. However, that being said, now that I have that capability, I'm really keen to get into that. But being with Virgin Mobile, I'm still waiting on support. There's a fair few people in their kind of tech forums and that are saying, oh yeah, when are you bringing out support? And they reckon early 2018.
Okay,
yeah,
that's not too bad.
Yeah, so let's hope so.
I wonder what their early 2018 is compared to Apple's early 2018.
Well, yes, I mean we'll talk about that straight after this. But the one thing this has left me with is the want for a leather band. Just as you said, you kind of got like I've got this Nike band you can use for when you're doing your workouts. And then you could have like, the leather band for when at work or when at special events, etc. So
yeah, would you get the leather loop because it like won't have the stainless steel legs, or would you get one of the normal leather bands with the stainless steel legs?
Not normal leather band, I reckon. I just I just like the kind of solid look of it with like the full buckle and everything.
Yeah, it's a pity they don't offer it with the space black legs, but that's why I have the Milanese loop, so that it is just one color. The other options, of course, would be, and then they also have the nylon bands, which in the darker color kind of does look fine because it has a buckle, but yeah, those are kind of just the ones that don't have the stainless steel legs, which, I mean, it's not really noticeable when you're wearing it, but it definitely would help if they just kept that consistency.
And then I kept scrolling. I was like, oh, these Hermes bands are nice. Looked at the price. No.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is this link bracelet is amazing, but it's $849 for the space black version and like $649 for the stainless steel, and I just can't justify the more than the cost of the watch.
I just reckon it's a real shame that there's no midnight blue leather band.
I think there is. Yeah, I think there is. Unless that was one of the popular colors, because I think they've kept that throughout the.
Yeah. Okay. Hang on. We'll just have a quick little check while we're here. Because I thought because it looked like it wasn't there anymore, and it was like the dark aubergine. There are a lot of bands here. Leather, Cosmos blue, and not midnight blue.
Wow.
So
they don't have midnight anymore.
Yeah. So it's a bit more vibrant. I mean, I like the look of it, but it's probably a little bit too, yeah. But that being said, I'm actually kind of liking the look.
No. Wait, if you click it, like, that's dark aubergine.
Yeah.
Damn, black. And then they've got the...
Yep. Yeah, so you got Cosmos sapphire. Blue, pink fuchsia, dark aubergine, saddle brown,
damn,
ruby, red, and black.
I really hope they didn't discontinue that before I got around to buying it, and they did.
Yeah.
But it says, like, the sapphire blue is sold out anyway, so... Yeah, these, if you want them, you better get them before the color goes.
Well, maybe with a March online launch or something, they might release more bands like they did in 2017. So
I would expect sooner.
Yeah, cool.
Because they usually have one every single season. They have the spring, summer, winter, and autumn collection.
Yeah. I was just like, oh no, Midnight Blue's not there. So anyway, maybe I'll hold out, maybe I won't. Okay, so speaking of early 2018, now this news, of course, has been floating around for several weeks now, but this is kind of like our first chance to talk about it, and that is the HomePod delay. Now, you and I, Nick, were both, HomePod, getting it before Christmas. It's going to happen. It's a done deal. You're even going to get 2 of them. And then, literally, we're just sitting around waiting for some sort of launch. I was waiting for a keynote, which was never going to happen anyway.
Yeah, well, maybe it will now, but yeah, it's pretty devastating because... As you say, Christmas presents, sort of had it all lined up, and I've been trying to hold off getting an extra Google Home and Sonos to sort of I've been really desperate for good home audio, and those solutions are already there, and I'm already partially invested in that sort of ecosystem. So I thought, okay, if it comes before then, I'll be fine. And then it just isn't. So ended up swapping out my normal Google Home for Google Home Mini, which I've been really happy with, but still holding out for HomePod and not going to get Sonos or anything like that.
Cool. Okay, so do you have any kind of suggestions as to what you think could have been the delay?
Man, I've been really thinking about this, and I can't come up with anything that just really makes sense, because there's a lot of talk about it being like AirPlay 2, some of the stuff around improved Siri, there was like it being a HomePod, a HomeKit bridge not being fully fleshed out, just a whole bunch of things, and it just, for me, none of them are really making sense. I just don't know. I think it has to be something pretty significant. So I'm thinking maybe like security or ability to perceive when the correct Siri is being called, so that because of the one wake word, like those things for me are the kind of only 2 things that I can think of outside of the box that make sense. Yeah,
because you were sort of we were talking earlier, and you were saying, could they shift to something like we actually target the device, like, hey iPhone Siri or hey iPad or whatever. But then, you still come back to the fact that it takes out that sort of magical factor of the fact that you can just have one command and it's meant to be the closest device. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I'm thinking it's more leaning towards a hardware issue. Could be something as simple as maybe even the kind of illuminated lights on top. Might even be a little fault there. Maybe something to do with the far-field microphones. They came across some sort of, production delay or something. I'm not really sure. I mean, they've had a long time since announcement. So... yeah, it could be the automatic tuning too. Yeah.
just like based on where it is in the room, because I think that that's something that Apple's leading in and Google is also coming out with, but the Home Max is not out yet, so I guess there's a reason for that too. So it's obviously quite a difficult thing to get right. It might be something to do with that.
What I certainly don't think this is I don't think this is a heads should roll level mistake, as some sites have suggested. They're kind of really crunching down on Apple about this delay. And I think at the end of the day, you delay it by a few months. It's not really like the sales performance of it maybe affected it slightly, but Alexa and Echo are still due to come out in Australia early 2018. I know that they're talking on like an American level, but say for us in Australia, Google Home's already been out. They've already released updated versions, and Home Max still has to come out, which is their real HomePod competitor. So I certainly think they've come under fire a bit. They've overstepped the line with their criticism.
Yeah, I think that was really like unfair criticism. So, the thing with Apple is it's not their first delay, and it's not going to be the last delay. The first delay that I've experienced was where it was a product I really wanted, was strangely enough iTunes 11. I think it was 11, where they had the complete new redesign and the whole look and feel was dependent on whatever album you had selected, and it was all like this album centric design, and it was just so awesome. And I made sure I had all of the cover art for every single song, and yeah, that was like way back in the day, and so it was delayed by an extra month. And that was also when I got wind of what Apple means when they say like, oh, July, they mean like the last day of July. So it's kind of, then after that they've had like or even before that, I think before I was even into Apple, they had the white iPhone 4 delay by like 9 months, way into the product release. They've had a whole bunch. There've been AirPods, obviously, which is a knockout performer, probably the best wireless earphones to come out, completely wireless in ages. You see them around so often, and they're just so popular and universally praised, among like people who are diehard Apple fans and just regular Apple people. So, it's kind of, even like the watch was kind of delayed in a way, and that was still, it's still successful. So just because a product's delayed doesn't mean it's not going to be successful. And every time, like, I bet you, okay, look, think of you, Tim Cook, right? Would you rather release Apple Maps, which was on time, but it's still getting shit like 6 months later, right? I mean, 6 years later, or 6 releases later.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, would you rather release that, or would you rather delay by 3 months and have a popular product? Because then no one will even remember it was delayed.
Oh, exactly. I think we had that initial letdown of, oh man, but it's not the end of the world. We still had, there's a lot of new products focused in one kind of section of the year. So, we've been talking a lot about iPhone 10, obviously, and everything to do with that event. Now, with myself on board with Series 3, there's a lot more to discuss there. So it's kind of like, it's not like we were just sitting without any other kind of like products to ogle over. It was just kind of like this was going to be the cherry on top. But now that's just delayed until next year. So in saying that, what do you think your prediction will be for when?
I think February.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Online only?
No, I don't think so, because I don't think that it's like a technical challenge to manufacture. I don't think there's anything stand out that should be difficult that would way delay it. I think it has to be a software thing holding it back, and so that they can just immediately put on every single one that they want. The one thing that might make it online only / delay, like limited stock, would be that they have no idea what the demand is yet.
Oh, sorry. By online only, I meant like the actual way that they've launched it. Like no keynote,
like
sort
no
of thing.
release.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No keynote.
Oh god, because when I said online only, you're like, no. I was just like, isn't it giving me hope that there's going to be a keynote? And then my mind just started like deviating. Anyway.
Well, the wording by Craig Federighi was very specific, that we've had all the keynotes for the season, or like they've had enough for the season. So, if you take his words very literally, but out of context and out of time, maybe there would be an event, but I don't think so.
All right. Well, as soon as we find out more about HomePod, of course, we'll let the listeners know. And we're going to move on to a handful of very Australia-specific topics to talk about. Some of these are brand new, some of these have been around for a little bit, but this is kind of going to be a bit of a catch-up session for us. So this all sort of, it was just really cool to see kind of like one thing. I'm like, oh, cool, that's great that's happening in Australia, and then seemed to be the next 2 days or something else about Australia, and I was getting really, really pumped on it, and particularly following on from the whole, Australian beach wallpapers and that sort of thing with iOS 11. So anyway, I'll let you kick this one off with some maybe a bit of promise in the Apple Pay space.
Yeah, so Bendigo Bank has announced support for Apple Pay, and they were one of the 4, well, I guess as you put it, the potential colluders.
Yes.
They were in the sort of case against Apple to try and allow them, so it would have been with Westpac, CommBank and NAB, trying to collude against Apple. And so it's actually quite funny because one of my old colleagues messaged me. He's just gone full Apple, and he's sort of seen me was trying to, like, I don't know, just tell me all about his changeover experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just bought his wife the Apple Watch and getting fully invested in the ecosystem. And he said, I just basically was joking with him. Like, I just, was pushing his buttons and was like, oh, you're going to switch to ANZ now to get Apple Pay. So he's like, what? Do you mean that CommBank doesn't have Apple Pay? So I was like, no, they are trying to collude against Apple, but the Competition Commission said they can't. So now they just, like, there's no talks at the moment. So he was like, well, I'll look into ANZ, and then actually went and researched all of the happenings with the bank, and he was like, oh, they really were colluding. I was like, yes, that's the word I specifically used. They were trying to collude. So he switched over to ANZ and cut his ties with CommBank. So, it's happening, and as Bendigo Bank put it, good day Apple Pay.
Yes, that's a big campaign they're using with that. And while they are a community sort of based bank, they are a lot smaller in size compared to the other 3 that they were trying to collude with. But I'm hoping that's just kind of like, it's like a thing of you're building a case. You've got your group support, and then one of them's like, go on, I give up on this thing. I'm hoping that might just be enough to get one of the bigger players there to be like, okay, stuff this, I can't be bothered anymore. Like, we're losing too many customers to other banks here. And surely by now, with all of their online posts and comments and everything, and I'm active in some of these. Anytime CommBank do any post about anything, everyone's like, oh, great, give us Apple Pay. Give us Apple Pay. Where is it? Surely there's they can sense the overwhelming demand for it.
Yeah. I guess for them it's just a financial case, and they don't even care. But they're proving that they don't care about their customers, because all of their customers wanted. They have the technical capability to do it, and they just made a business decision that they want to keep the extra 0.01% or whatever Apple wants on this unknown number of payments that they would be losing out on through their better technology. And it's just ridiculous at this point. But having said that, I guess we just like harping on CommBank because we bank with them, but all the others are equally as bad. So it's kind of maybe the Royal Commission will also focus on their lack of Apple Pay, because there's a Royal Commission into the whole financial services industry.
Of course. Yeah, it's definitely a big one. Okay, so moving on to another big one. At the Apple keynote, they previewed the whole idea of Apple stores will now be revamped, bigger, better, more natural, and called Apple Town Squares. Chadstone, Victoria, in Australia, is at First Apple Town Square. So on November 24th, they did a full unveiling. It's 3 times the size of the original store that was there. Features stuff like a gigantic TV screen, organic window displays. There's 4.2 meter high bronze doors. Native fiscus or ficus, I'm not exactly sure how that's pronounced, trees around the product tables, which look really cool in the images. I posted those on our social accounts. The Genius Bar is now called Genius Grove. And yeah, they said, well, it's not going to stop here. There's 21 more to go in Australia. So they're going all out on here. I'm not sure what that kind of time plan is for that. I'm sure WA will be at the end of that roadmap. But judging from the pictures, looks pretty cool, eh?
Yeah, definitely. I'm really excited for this to eventually come to Sydney. They've got roadworks out the front of the flagship Sydney store, and they've had them for years. But hopefully by the time that it becomes a town square, the roadworks are all done, and it will just be this beautiful opening. Because now the road in front of it will also it's actually changing to tram, so it'll be a tram, and specifically just out front, it will have like a much bigger walkway and sort of like a bigger area out front versus just being a road. So it will all pull together quite nicely, I think, once that's done. So I'm really excited for that. And yeah, so, I mean, having said that, I was at the Apple store today and actually saw like a whole bunch of kids and teenagers and just thinking about their whole like meet me at Apple vibe that they're going for. Just having been at the store and actually seeing that, it seems that I can actually envisage that happening, and it's not too crazy. But yeah, so
maybe they'll install a little Apple Cafe next to it, and they can hand out those little takeaway pizza boxes.
Yeah,
that'd be
Cafe
cool.
Max.
Okay, so we're not going to leave Victoria here because RMIT, which is a Melbourne's tech and design university, has been given a fair bit of Apple love lately. Can you tell us about this?
They basically supporting this Everyone Can Code initiative, which is now available in more than 20 new colleges and universities. So it offers a full app development with Swift curriculum, which is a full year course and designed by Apple engineers and educators. As we said, it's at Australia's RMIT University being one of them, and RMIT is one of the broadest international deployments to date. So the RMIT Vice Chancellor said, "These are the sort of skills Australians need for the jobs of the future, and we're thrilled to work with Apple to deliver this important curriculum." And it's also at 20 other universities, including Unitec in New Zealand. So this is really exciting. I've been sort of saying for ages that coding is really important and should be focused on at school level. Here, seeing it at university level is a good start to, getting across the necessity of people needing to be able to do this for the future. So I'm really excited to see like Australia being at the forefront of supporting this initiative, because it is really exciting.
Oh, definitely. I think this is great. And also it's not limited to you just physically being at the university. So you can do it externally with the course online as well. So it sounds like Tim Cook himself was getting really excited about this. So, and Apple have, we've spoken about, they've put this big, they created the Swift playgrounds to start their coding education from kind of like this base level, and they keep bringing up in their keynotes how important coding is for the future and future jobs and everything. So it's just great to see how hands-on they are with us and with that. And so to continue on from that notion, there is the Hour of Code. So from December 4th to 10th, in celebration of Computer Science Education Week, Apple stores are offering for beginners, developers, kids and adults, basically little courses with for you to master the basics of coding with Swift, programming robots. And what's cool about this is not like a US only thing. This seems to be quite expansive. And what I'll do in the show notes is I'll leave a link, and you can go to that, choose your location, choose your Apple store and everything, and it'll show you the exact times and everything that all these little courses are happening at. And so Yeah, it's just another way if you're unfamiliar just with this whole kind of like new concept of, okay, well, maybe I do want to learn coding. It's not just limited to people that are perceived as IT professionals and everything. It's something fun. As yourself, Nick, you have been playing around with Swift Playgrounds. Of course, you have coding experience too, and that is, part of your daily job. But you yourself sort of said that Swift Playgrounds is kind of like a fun way to learn about this sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've finished Swift Playgrounds and moved on to the app development with Swift book that they released, and sort of been working through those playgrounds on actual Xcode now. And the platform that Swift Playgrounds on iPad actually gives you is fantastic, and it helps with the logic flow for people that aren't familiar with coding, just sort of how to tackle coding problems. That gets seen to upfront, so that when you're actually working through how to use Xcode and put together different elements of an app, you're familiar with the language and logic, and therefore it's just plugging and sort of playing. So the way that they've gone about it has been really smart. So people who are afraid to get involved should definitely try it out, because it's a lot easier than it may appear.
Yeah, 100%. And so, speaking of hitting 100% and goals, exercise goals with GymKit. So Jay Blarneck himself, the Director of Fitness and Health Technology at Apple, he visited Australia for the launch of the world's first GymKit-enabled equipment. We first learnt about this at WWDC, and so Fitness First in central Sydney was the place that it was all happening at. So the gist behind this is that the NFC of this GymKit equipment allows the watch and the equipment itself to obtain and share data. So in the demonstration they did, the watch sent heart rate data to the treadmill sent calories burned, person's weight, and that to the watch, and things like incline. At the end of the workout, the watch then gets all the data, and the treadmill is then wiped for the next user, so no kind of privacy concerns there. In saying all of this, with yourself being the more outdoor 5K plus Nike donning, shades wearing dude, are you going to get a gym membership?
No, I do have a 3 weeks pass at Fitness First, but I don't think it's at the central Sydney one. It's just like near my office. So I'm definitely going to see if I can at least try and check it out for just one of their free passes. It would be cool to see, but definitely would not just be after a gym membership for this. I currently find like the workout data to be sufficient.
I think just if I was where you were, just for the interest's sake, I'd want to find that exact gym and find the exact spot you're standing in for the photo, and just get like a replica J mode sort of thing.
Yeah.
But that's just the type of thing I do. Okay, I'm going to switch it up completely to a whole host, an explosion of adverts, which we can always expect because the holidays are here. And we're just going to skim over kind of like the latest releases that they've done, and then discuss, sort of what we think, their reasoning is behind the style of advertising, that sort of thing. So they have a holiday one each year. This one was called Sway. It's more geared around AirPods. It kind of goes for around minute 49. It's got snowing in the street, and this lady pulls out her iPhone 10. She's got the AirPods in. She's dancing around, bumps into a guy, just randomly shares her AirPod to him. Full-on dance routine, running across walls, like movie-style flips and everything. Go to lean in for a kiss. Spoiler alert, doesn't happen. Back to reality with the end tagline, move someone this holiday. So how do you feel like this compares to previous ones?
I think it's pretty good. Like it's up there, but it's not at the top. Usually what I like most about the holiday ones is they decentralized from the products and just sort of show like a lifestyle / love / holiday vibe, which can be really nice. But this one was definitely the product was pretty central to the ad, which was fine. I mean, it is Apple, they sell products, but it for that reason, it's not one of my favorites.
I certainly think, from a production perspective, yes, great. I mean, they always are.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that it continues on that AirPods theme, like when they had Apple Music on the watch with AirPods and the guy skateboarding everywhere, that video. This kind of like flows on from that. Just a whole lot of movements and just really showcasing the completely wireless nature of everything.
Yeah, and there was another one with a guy dancing in the street that they had with just the AirPods right at the beginning too, that this flows on from. So yeah, definitely like keeping a nice theme, which is really cool.
I think they were just trying to, it's quite evident they were tapping into that whole, Christmas movie sort of like meet a stranger, you fall in love kind of vibe. Obviously for us, the whole snowing in the street thing isn't a reality down our end of the world. But I liked it, but I wasn't going to rush out and kind of like show everyone, hey, check out this new ad.
Yeah. But speaking of ads that I do actually like, Apple also released an iPad ad called iPad What's a Computer? So this one is 1:10 and it features a whole bunch of iPad Pro specific features like multitasking, screenshot, and markup, drag and drop, and just like so much. But my favorite part of this ad is just about how a kid uses their iPad. Like, okay, it's not only about a kid being able to use this, it's just about how with the new generation, they see this as a computer. Like, it's not like, for us, they're distinctly different use cases, but this can do everything. And so they see an iPad as being the computer of now, whereas we kind of see it as the computer of the future still. Like, I don't know, I'm sort of blanket talking here, but I think just that showcase that an iPad is so powerful and, it can be used for their schoolwork or for someone's real work, and it's so portable, and it's great. It's a great communication tool. It's a great photography tool, whether you actually like to take photos with it or whether you just edit photos. It's a fantastic canvas and with a great screen. So, I could rattle on all day about why I love iPad, but I think this ad shows that much more succinctly. So check it out.
Yeah, and they've put a bit of a different angle on it in the way that it is the teenager. So it's not just a iPad Pro, people in the office, artists, etc. sort of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's kind of almost going against the naming in a way. Not that I'm saying that the teenager isn't a pro, but it's kind of like you immediately, with that naming, you associate pro with professional and in the office, business, blah, 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 whatever. And yeah, just showcasing all the massive enhancements they did with iOS 11 that are iPad Pro specific is really cool. And yeah, as you said, the portability factor, it just looks so much more sleek, and like the ease of use factor, just pulling it out the bag like that. Like even just the difference between opening a clamshell, which isn't a big deal, but just that one or couple less steps movement involved. It really pushes the kind of seamless portable factor about the iPad Pro.
Yeah.
Cool. And so they've got a whole bunch of short adverts. One's for iPhone 10, really pushing the True Depth camera system. So they've got a couple of 40 seconds, a couple of 15 seconds. And so basically, all these clips really cover is aspects such as the machine learning with the changing look for Face ID. So a lot of reports, and even myself, and I'm sure you can agree, Face ID, when you first set it up, works well. 2 weeks later, works that much better. And then they're obviously pushing factors like you can use it completely in the dark, and then, the fun interactive aspect of Animoji, etc. So really it's just a case of, I guess in a way it's trying to ease people into the whole Face ID thing. There's, still several people out there, when I mention about what my iPhone 10 can do, they're like, oh, I don't really want it looking at my face, and you kind of got to explain everything. It's not actually taking a photo, all that sort of thing.
Oh my word. I'm so glad no one has ever said that to me before. like in person. Wow, that is so funny that they would think that it just like takes a picture and it's like, oh, this is Simon now.
Yeah.
And, you know, do some processing there and keep a picture or upload it to Apple servers. So, yeah.
Okay, to give a very funny example, before I had my phone, I was telling my dad about it. I was like, iPhone 10 yet? I was like, doesn't have the Touch ID on it, it's Face ID. And I was like, yeah, scans your face, unlocks. He's like, oh, yeah, well, that sounds great. He's like, so I suppose this means the police are going to have everyone's faces on file. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can... This is, to me, is still where devices like the iPhone SE come into play.
Well, you've never had an article that's like, you know, thief caught through Apple's iPhone. Like, you know, they've never used Touch ID data to find someone through that. So I don't know how that extends. Like, yeah, I don't know. Going back to, I guess the whole point of the ad is they're definitely using this opportunity to tackle some early concerns or feedback, or thoughts or misconceptions on the iPhone 10 Face ID, and I think they were really smart in the way that they went about it.
And then, especially now, it makes the whole Craig Federighi stage incident just seem so long ago.
Yeah, because people have it in their hands and they're actually realizing that, you know, that was completely just this unrelated issue that shouldn't have ever happened, but wasn't a note, like a knock on Face ID.
I know. This is the point where I still wait for the odd Android troll to pull out the Craig video clip. You know, it's like, come on, man. It's like I've been successfully using Face ID for weeks now. It's amazing.
Yeah, I read a great Reddit post on how reviewers have focused on how they've tackled like I think it's the OnePlus 5T, which has they sort of want to be Face ID, and like it has like 120 points, and yeah, and then like the reviewers on the iPhone one with like 30,000 points are like, ooh, not sure that this is good enough, and tested in like the dark, and not sure about Apple security. And then you've got this like 120 point thing that's not secure enough that to be used for payments, and they just like shrug their shoulders. But, you know, they use masks and twins and in the dark and in different lighting for Apple's one. It's just like they put it through completely different lenses and filters that it's just like, these are not actually the same. You know, if the score at the end of the day or the thoughts at the end of the day have gone through two different filters, that you should not be looking at those reviewers. You should focus on what you look for in the product and try and look at it objectively. So, you know, if you want the SE, go for it.
And this is just like the most frustrating aspect about any of the, I mean, you know, you come across them all the time. It's like, Galaxy's been doing this for years, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, I could already unlock my phone with my face. It's like, if you put it at the base level of like, you could unlock your phone with your face, it's like, yeah, okay. But
yeah,
it's too, like, the outcome is the same, but you're talking about varying levels of success, the ability to even use it in things like the dark, and, you know, particularly be good enough for secure payments. It's an uphill battle.
Yeah, so on the flip side, we have a Johnny Ive parody, which is one of the greatest Twitter accounts to ever exist. And yesterday he tweeted, remember Apple invented wireless charging? And like, it was just great to see, you know, the comments, and like, it was just so inflammatory because we all know that Apple didn't. But it's one of those things where the Samsung people are like, oh, we've had it for years. And just for him to actually like, just play on that sore point of theirs and just be like, Apple invented wireless charging. Oh, it was great. Really great.
And lastly, we move on to the Watch Series 3 adverts with a real push for gift giving. So there's 4 of these, around 15 seconds each, all around being active. So basically, the gist of each one is they start with a figure, whether it's a snowboarder or, you know, someone working out, and it zooms out and you kind of see repeated versions of that person all doing different stuff. which kind of reveals this repeated pattern, and that pattern is wrapping paper around a Series 3 box, which is then very quickly ripped off. So the whole thing is very much pushing, as Apple Watch has always done, the active side of things, and then just the, hey, gift suggestion. So, I mean, I love these ads, just even from a visual standpoint.
Yeah, they're really cool. They're super short, but they end with a powerful message, which is, this is a great gift. Like with HomePod being delayed, they miss out on a whole bunch of Christmas sales there. So they've, Series 3 is, or like any Apple Watch, is a great gift. So I think that we've spoken before about how Apple can use their marketing to sort of position themselves better against these haters, and that's what I feel that is exactly what they've done with their latest series of ads, with the iPad sort of changing the flow from that being this business professional only, and not being powerful, not being seen as a computer replacement. They've with the iPhone 10 ads, they've capitalized on some of the more topical uses, like karaoke and emoji-oki, and then they've also used the opportunity to punt Face ID, or I think my Siri thinks I'm talking to her. It's half a page long. I just looked over at my phone, and it's so funny.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then with the Series 3 making it about the ads, so about the gift giving.
Definitely. So yeah, that kind of wraps up the different things happening with Apple in the advertising space. Particularly at the start of this year, we had heaps of ads to cover, so it's definitely come back around again. And just really loving what they're doing. They're very much sticking to that kind of like short, sharp, fast, fast-paced shots and all that sort of thing. That style. It works very well from a social media aspect, so it's not like they can pull out kind of like this 3-minute miniature film or anything like that.
Yeah,
but yeah, definitely loving what they're doing there. And just before we cap it off, because we haven't mentioned this on the podcast, a few episodes ago, Andrew, of course, the one who did my reserve pickup for iPhone. He had his Android points that he wanted to put out there as to why he prefers Android. He obviously succumbed to his own pressure, and he went out and bought iPhone 10. He had a few week wait on it. I said, man, do the reserve pickup. It's just going to be so much better. He had multiple attempts over multiple days. Didn't work. I offered to do it for him. We're trying to figure out the logistics of that. Then he ended up getting reserve pickup in at a 7 a.m., which was quite interesting. So considering they start at 6 a.m. And yep, went and picked it up, loved it. He's like, yeah, this looks excellent. And then began the constant messaging back and forth of, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do this. I'm like, well, no, you can do this, but it's in this form. Or did you realize you could do this? And things like, oh, the keyboard's stuck on the screen. I'm like, he's as soon as I start typing a message, I'm like, just scroll up the message and it collapses back down. Little things like that. And so, you could tell his learning curve with iOS was pretty big for him, particularly obviously, with the iPhone 10 too. And he sounded like he was committed to, yep, I'm going to give this thing 2-week go. I thought, yep, that'll be a solid try. 2 days later, returns it to the Apple Store. No fuss there. But he was basically just trying to live a completely Google life in an iOS world.
Yeah, I guess, we always punt that it's all about what works for you. Probably could have given it more of a go, but,
bit of a knee-jerk reaction, but...
Yeah, Google hasn't updated all of their apps, so, you're also not dealing with this beautiful edge-to-edge display all the time when you constantly in Google apps, so that could have been quite a ruining factor. And yeah, I guess, props for trying.
I just gotta, rather than get worked up about things or defensive because we love iOS and Apple so much, is I just tried to put myself in his shoes, where I thought, okay, if I were to suddenly switch to Android, I'd probably be that guy that starts complaining about everything. So
yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. It's better that he sticks with the device and ecosystem that he's used to and that he can be productive with. So there you go. That wraps up episode 40 of Apple Slice. If you'd like to follow us, just search Apple Slice Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And if you'd like to subscribe, Nick?
You can search Apple Slice in your podcast player. Visit appleslice.com.au. You can also search Apple Slice Podcast on YouTube.
Yes, of course. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so hopefully we get this episode released. This is a partial re-record, unfortunately, which I explained in the previous Vox Pip. So there you go. Hopefully no technical troubles, and I'll catch you in episode 41.
All right, see ya.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.